What's up everybody, it's Robin Gaming here. So really quickly, my apologies for being absent for so long. The last few days, I caught this massive cold, went over to the flu basically. I've been laying sick in bed the entire time, it's been terrible. I'm still not fully recovered, my throat still hurts, my nose is locked up and stuff, it's annoying as hell, but there comes that point where you're like, man, I really need to start making videos again, right? And so here we are today, so I'd say let's actually get into it. So speaking about infected things, I guess, let's move over to The Last of Us Part 2. You know what it is with that game is that I've had discussions so much with people in the past, even before the game was announced, Part 2 of course, that they never wanted a sequel to actually happen because the original game to them was such a masterpiece, you know, that they simply thought that a sequel could never really live up to that same quality goal, I guess, or bar that has been set. And I've always respectfully disagreed. I think it's a respectable opinion to have, I guess, that the original game was so good, and I do agree with that. But at the same time, I feel like if anybody can make an amazing sequel, then it's Naughty Dog. So I have no doubts The Last of Us Part 2 is gonna absolutely blow us away, and it's gonna once again prove to be, you know, a masterpiece of a game, you know what I'm saying? So what I wanted to do with this video is pretty much give you 5 ways The Last of Us Part 2 can be more amazing than the original game already was. So I'd say let's actually get into it, right? So my very first reason, and this one is honestly quite obvious, don't have to talk too much about this, but the very first reason, or the very first way The Last of Us 2 can be better than the original is obviously in terms of graphics. And yeah, like I said, that's only obvious because it's the transition from the PlayStation 3 to the PS4. All you pretty much gotta do is look at Uncharted 4, look how absolutely freaking stunning that game looked. The Last of Us 2 is gonna completely benefit from that exact same engine, same platform. It's gonna look just as good, if not even better, because Naughty Dog learns to optimize that engine, learns to make that game to look even better than that. I'm sure they're also gonna put the cutscenes this time around, you know, where on the PS3 games from Naughty Dog, they would always be these cinematics or these pre-recorded videos pretty much that they would play, so you would have these abrupt cuts and you would see that there was compression in the video footage. Now you're gonna have actual in-game cutscenes. Once again, look at Uncharted 4, already did it of course. The game is no doubt gonna look a lot better graphically than the previous one, and I already can't wait to see how freaking amazing those environments are going to absolutely, you know, look. One thing I wrote down as well, I guess, doesn't really have to do too much with the graphics, but it's gonna have a bigger variety in environments, I would assume. I think the original game did a really good job at that. It introduced different seasons, different locations, from, of course, you know, the university to the whole winter part, the suburbs, stuff like that. So I do think this second game, once again, although it will probably take place just in America again, it's gonna have a bigger variety of environments, maybe some desert environments, sand-ish stuff, desert stuff in America. So that would be really cool to see. I'm sure it's going to improve there as well. The second way The Last of Us 2 can be better is, I think, if they introduce, or if they start introducing some faster core gameplay. We know that we're of course going to be playing as Ellie, right? And I think what that means is that the gameplay will actually prove to be quite a bit different, and yeah, faster in general, less clunky. Not that the gameplay really felt that clunky, but it just purposefully felt somewhat slow, right? And that was a cool thing about it. I think that The Last of Us Part 2 is still gonna somewhat maintain that, but at the same time make it slightly faster, because yeah, we're playing as a younger character, we're playing as Ellie. That's gonna mean for more fluid movement, maybe some improved melee combat, more brutal execution moves, of course. I'm sure Ellie is gonna really screw up some guys pretty badly in that game, especially when you see how mad she was in that reveal trailer. Maybe even Naughty Dog will be adding possibly some platforming elements. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna be like Uncharted in any way, right? We're not gonna be climbing the whole time throughout the game, but I'm simply saying, once again, look at who we're playing as in Part 2 compared to Part 1, with Ellie, maybe at some points trying to get Joel through certain areas by climbing up a certain part that Joel can't reach, or that he's not able to get up on. So, who knows, we'll probably see maybe some possible platforming elements being added to Part 2. That would be a cool thing in my opinion, because it would just add some more variety to the gameplay. Now, the third way is obviously, and this is I think really the biggest one, but the one I can say the least about, is a better story. I do think that's possible. I do think it's possible for The Last of Us Part 2 to have a better story than the original game. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if you think about The Last of Us, and Naughty Dog has openly said this already, I'm pretty sure Neil Druckmann has mentioned it in interviews, but what they tell with all their games so far has been simple stories with complex characters. I think that's really how he described it, and you can see that in both Uncharted and The Last of Us, is that the main goal throughout the game never really changes. In Uncharted, it's always about getting the treasure right. You start off with that goal in the beginning, you meet your goal hopefully at the end of the game. In The Last of Us it was, we need to get to the fireflies, we need to get to the hospital basically. The moment in the beginning of the game where you encounter the dead fireflies, you'll know that yeah, you need to get to that one hospital that's very far away, and that's what the whole journey is. Now, the reason why the story is so amazing is because everything that happens in between is told so well. The characters you come across are gonna be really interesting, and there's these little storylines being told that basically, add them all up together, they tell the full story. Just think about the winter part. I think that's easily like the best subplot that The Last of Us really has. That small little story that simply takes part in the winter part, where it has its own villain with David, of course. The whole story that's told there is done amazingly well. Now, obviously, The Last of Us Part 2 can do that again. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of new characters being introduced in this one. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if we're really not going to see any characters from the previous one return in this one, except for Joel and Ellie, maybe Tommy, Joel's brother, of course. But yeah, there's going to be new characters that, once again, probably going to be very cool. And I think maybe what would be awesome to see and what would be an improvement is that they actually change up the complete story, the main goal throughout the game. What I mean by that is that actually Uncharted 4 already somewhat did that. I don't really want to spoil it, but many of you will know Uncharted 4 starts with a very clear certain goal, and in the middle of the game towards chapter 15, there's quite a big twist that happens that actually changes the goal of the game. And that was awesome to see, and I think that The Last of Us could really benefit from something like this, where they actually change the main goal in general in the second game. So we'll have to wait and see exactly. Once again, I can't make too many predictions on that because it's so specific and so detailed that you couldn't possibly expect me to just come up with a story of The Last of Us Part 2 that will outdo the original. I'm just saying I think that would be an awesome thing if the game drastically changes, for example, its goals, or actually changes up the story in general throughout the game, and that's not just about subplots. Oh, we need to get a car this time so we can get to this next environment, stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, the fourth way Last of Us Part 2 can be better than the original is by simply adding more gameplay elements. What I mean by that is that, of course, the original has a big crafting system that could be expanded, new things to craft, new types of ammo, grenades, stuff like that, new types of zombies as well, or infected, I should say, I guess. Of course, the original game didn't have that many of them. We had stalkers, the normal clickers, bloaters, but I'm sure they're gonna start adding new types of zombies in this one as well. Infected once again. What I am wondering about that is that how are they going to explain that? Why did you encounter a certain type of infected in the previous game, and why are there all of a sudden new ones in this one? I'm sure it's gonna be introduced. I'm just very interested to see what the actual reason for it will be. Also, I think what Left Behind did really well is it placed you in these encounters with humans versus zombies, or versus infected. God damn it, I keep saying it now, but the actual game didn't have that at all. So I'm sure they're gonna start adding more encounters that are gonna be a bit more strategic. That will mean that the gameplay is gonna simply be expanded, and that you'll have to think a bit more in your fights. That would be very awesome to see. And last of all, maybe it's gonna introduce some more set pieces. I actually was a pretty big fan of the set pieces they did introduce in the first game. Is that, if you think about that one part in the tunnel where all of a sudden you have that bus that goes underwater with Joel in it. It's crazy. Ellie almost dies, stuff like that. That was a great cinematic moment. Also, the moment Joel gets dragged up by the rope and he's hanging upside down, you gotta shoot some infected. Those type of moments, I really think Naughty Dog can do much more with that, especially with the experience they have from Uncharted. I'm not saying it has to go all out like that. Of course, The Last of Us will, in general, be a much more realistic game, and so the set pieces will be a lot more realistic, but I think if they add more of those moments, that's gonna be, a really cool thing to see. And last of all, the last reason, or the last way, I guess, Part 2 can be better than the original, in my opinion, is an even better multiplayer mode. That's always possible. I thought what the first game did so well is exactly what Uncharted 2's multiplayer did so well. It stuck to its basicness. It had a couple of really stupid features, I think, still, is that they kept enlisted mode in the multiplayer, and of course they somewhat ruined it later on by adding all of these microtransactions and DLC guns. I hope that what they do with Part 2's multiplayer is, once again, simply stick to that basicness. It should be about survival. That's really what the game is about. That's what the multiplayer should be about. But add new game modes. The original game only had 3 of them. Yeah, stay true to the core and simply build upon that and come out with less microtransactions and hopefully you know, make simply better decisions that will benefit the game and not only you know, not only do stuff that the community doesn't ask for. That's really what Naughty Dog needs to learn, is to you know, simply listen a bit more to the community, and I'm sure they could do that with this one. So anyway, these were 5 ways in my opinion that The Last of Us Part 2 can be better than the original. I do think the most important you know, aspect of that is still the story. That's why people love the first game so much. But yeah, I'm just saying, I really think this second game could be much even better than the original, and all we have to do for that is simply look at Uncharted 2, compare that to the very first one. If anybody can do it, it's Naughty Dog. So with that being said, I would like to know from you reasons or ways you think The Last of Us Part 2 can be better than Part 1. And then at the same time, I want to quickly get 2 things out of the way. So first of all, I've got a new podcast episode coming up tonight. Make sure to check that out. It's going to be an awesome one. I just recorded it with Roberta. It's really going to be a cool one. And at the same time, go check out some of the previous videos I made a few days ago about Red Dead Redemption 2, Destiny 2. I'm pretty sure not everybody has seen them yet, so if you want to know my opinion on those games, definitely go check that out. But with that being said, I look very much forward to uploading a lot more videos again from now on the channel. Sorry for my absence the last few days. You know, at some point, yeah, you become sick, you can't do anything about it. So I'm really looking forward to uploading a lot more. Thanks everybody for checking it out. Let me know, of course, your thoughts in the comments. And for now, thanks a lot for watching, and hope to see you again next time.